All right, guys, starting section 10.3, vaccination. Now, vaccinations are going to give you protection against specific diseases because they boost your body's defense against that infection without actually having to get sick with that infection or be exposed to it, especially if they are infections that can lead to death. So, all of you, because you go to Corinth High School, you had to have your shot records turned in to be a student here. And all of you at some point have had vaccinations. Most of you were infants or you were very, very young. You were vaccinated against things like measles, mumps, rubella, smallpox, a whole host of different things that we have to get vaccinated for in our state. Every state can be a little bit different, but all of you have most likely been vaccinated unless there's some sort of allergy. And we'll talk about why you are probably protected by herd immunity anyway, so it's okay in just a little bit. Now, the important aspect about vaccines are how do they work, especially like right now we talk about the flu vaccine just because of the time of year that this unit falls in. And I love hearing kids come in and say, like, I'm not getting the flu vaccine. It gives you the flu. Okay, well, let's talk about it. Real talk for just a second. So how does a vaccine work? Vaccines allow a dead or altered form of the disease-causing pathogen, which contains specific antigens, to be introduced into your body. Now, they are in a weakened state. They cannot cause illness, but they can provoke an immune response. Specifically, like what we talked about in the last video, where your lymphocytes will produce complementary antibodies once these are injected in the form of vaccines. Okay, so remember, your antibodies are going to come in. They are going to create the matching antibody shape to the antigen, clump them together, and then allow an immune response. And then you create memory cells that remember this antigen. So if you ever do come in contact with it, there's a quick response. Okay, so once these memory cells have been created, the immunity is long lasting. This is why vaccines are so important. They're nothing that we should be afraid of, and they're nothing that we should think cause other diseases or other issues like autism and things that have been in news media, unfortunately spread by individuals that have no medical backing for any of that. Okay, vaccines save lives. Now, let's look at a graphic of how this happens. So you have your harmless pathogen injected in the form of a vaccine. So your antigens going in. They trigger that immune response. So you've got your specific antibodies that are going to be released to match whatever it is that they need to match to for the antigen. And then we create those memory cells that will be ready. If you do come in contact with that disease, they are ready to go into action, i.e. long-term immunity from that disease. Okay. So how does vaccination control the spread of disease specifically? And what is that thing about herd immunity I just spoke of earlier? Now, if you look at these depictions, you can see that, let me kind of fix my screen here. Where's my zoom button? Here we go. I had to move myself around a little. Okay, so y'all can pause it on the screen if you need to, just to look at it. But as more and more people are vaccinated, it's going to naturally protect the person that is not vaccinated or sick or contagious or not vaccinated but still healthy, okay? Because you come into less and less contact with someone who is sick. So this is where we get that idea of herd immunity. So you can pause it here, read through that graphic. It might be very helpful for you. Herd immunity prevents epidemics and pandemics from occurring in our populations. This is why with a novel virus like the coronavirus right now, we have not gained herd immunity with it because, one, we do not have a vaccine at the moment. There have been trials and we're getting closer possibly, but there's still a lot of study and research that probably will have to be done on the mutations of the coronavirus, which coronaviruses by nature are known to mutate fairly quickly. But, science is still out there trying to figure it out. And then we could also look on the bright side is we have eradicated very dangerous diseases in our world and in our nation, especially smallpox is one that the successful vaccine program, completely eradicated it after 1980. And the World Health Organization really led the charge on this. So started it in the mid-50s, was completely eradicated in the world by 1980, which is awesome. So vaccines don't have to necessarily be something y'all fear getting each year if you're one of those people that hate getting the flu shot or refuse to get it. It can be something that's good for you. So go ahead, head on over to your CFU. I think this unit's kind of been kind of fun and exciting, but I'm proud of y'all and I miss y'all.